Man United have now briefed the media and said, we're pulling away. We're not even going to make a bid. It's a futile pursuit. Who do Man United turn to now from a striker point of view to bolster those ranks?
Yeah, I mean, this is the toughest moment for them really to see where they can turn. I mean, you've got your top tier players. You've got Harry Kane, who's obviously the big dream. That would definitely be the case. And then you've got Osimhen or Vlahovic. I think Vlahovic might become a potential. There's nothing there yet, but I feel that Vlahovic is one of the few that could go in there and have that similar impact to what Kane could. Like, he's not quite at Kane's level, but he's got the potential to get there. In the past, he's been compared to Hojlund and stuff. He's the sort of striker that you'd want going head to head with him in Manchester. But then you've got like the second tier of players to consider. Look, Rasmus Hojlund is definitely one that United really like. He's attainable at a decent fee too. I think that there's a strong chance they do it. What we also need to consider, if they're not going to do a Kane style £90 million transfer, do United look at actually trying to get two? Do they look at getting Hojlund plus another? What sort of value can they find in the market, and how can they strengthen that front line to give them more goal options next season? You saw in the FA Cup final, like, United are just blunt. It's just a huge problem, and it's even if you don't know much about football, you can watch that game and be like, they're quite a good team, but why haven't they got somebody who can score goals? Like, it's a very basic part. Like, Marcus Rashford has told Ten Hag he's kind of ready to try and become a 9 if he wants him to be. He's happy to take on that burden on his shoulders of the responsibility. I don't think it's the way forward, personally. I think that you're taking too much away from him. And I've said before, like, while Weghorst obviously isn't a clinical goal scorer, one thing he did bring to Man United, one thing he did improve about Man United was Rashford's output. So Weghorst's movement often allowed Rashford to exploit spaces. So it was one of the things, like, seen or unseen, that Weghorst brought to United that was positive. Hojlund can make similar movements to that, and he's a very smart footballer. And I think that United like that vision. And I think that finding someone that could certainly help Rashford improve is one path that they would go down. But also, yeah, somebody like Vlahovic doesn't look like he'll be that expensive, and it's seeming like Juventus might actually sell him. So if he's available, I think you've got to go and do it. And why not try and get two? Benjamin Sesko has always been somebody United have liked. He's just joined a new club. It's extremely hard to do, but it's one that was always talked to me as like, well, they would get him, but they would also get somebody else. And it's just always lingering in my mind that United now might be tempted to go and sign two forwards, because ultimately they just don't have enough there. If there's no Mason Greenwood, if you can't trust Martial to be there, if Weghorst isn't going to be around anymore anyway, if Rashford isn't going to be the number 9, you've literally got nobody. United literally don't have a number 9, and it's not good enough, is it?
No, it isn't, and it was an area where, if you look at even the FA Cup final, City with a better team, deserved winners. But if Man United if you actually had Vlahovic and Hojlund as part of our team and squad on the day, we would have had a much better chance of winning. Cold hard light a day. Martial out of the game injured. Weghorst coming on just impotent. And look, Rashford does an okay job as a number 9, but okay isn't good enough for Man United. He is a top class inside forward. That's his best position. And as you say, with an out and out number 9, someone that knows the position, makes the right runs, he'll be able to come centrally, excuse me, and score goals. But you want him out wide, using his pace in those areas. His hold up play is okay. He's okay through the middle. But as I said, okay is not good enough for Manchester United. So it is a certain area. There's a lot of viewers are talking about his name eludes me, the young man from Frankfurt.
Oh, Koulibaly, yeah.
Koulibaly. I mean, I look at his number. Technically, when I watch him, good. I look at his numbers, and he doesn't stand out as being overly prolific. And the money I see it's going to cost to bring him in, personally, I'd rather sign Tony and wait till January. But yeah, he's so expensive for what the kind of money they're looking to charge. You would expect outputs like a Harry Kane, but they're not there. Him, Lautaro Martinez, there's a few other names that the viewers here are mentioning. What are you saying?
Yeah, I agree with you on Koulibaly. Like, he's obviously, like, he's really, really good. And to be honest, he is actually a really good fit for Man United too, and he's a proper goal scorer. It's just that he's so expensive and Premier League unproven. That is a risk. Like Man United will also be considering, just because they're not going for Harry Kane now, doesn't mean they wouldn't try and get Harry Kane in a year. So
Mm,
if they did get Hojlund now and could find a way to get through this season, like what are Man United's actual expectations for the next season? Does Ten Hag genuinely feel that Man United are going to go and win the title next season? Does he think they're going to win the Champions League next season? Or is next season another stepping stone towards making sure they got more trophies under their belt and they're more in that conversation? And then the season after that is more realistic as a title challenging season. And is it plausible that when Harry Kane becomes a free agent in 1 year's time, that's when Man United go and get their big number 9 and he's the missing piece and they're ready to go? That is going to be an option that's on the table. Like Harry Kane's going to have his pick of clubs in a year's time if he's not leaving right now. And United will believe that they're in with a shout of it, and they'll just be hoping that by then Mbappe's joined Real Madrid and that Haaland's staying at Man City, and they'll hope all these other things are in place at that moment in time. But you don't know. But yeah, I certainly feel Lautaro Martinez, there hasn't actually been any contact there. They admire him, but yeah, I think the thing that's most interesting about Lautaro Martinez is he has a desire to come to the Premier League now.
yep.
So there aren't that many places for him to end up. And Man United and Chelsea is two that he quite fancies. And I think the Chelsea one has been played up to me a little stronger than the Man United link. But
Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
that's where. Yeah.
In terms of one other United player before we move on to Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal today, Kim Min-jae. A lot of reports from Italy. United have agreed personal terms. The deal looks like it's proceeding. The German press now are saying Bayern Munich have entered the race and they're proceeding things well. What's your understanding of the pursuit of Kim Min-jae and what you're hearing in terms of where his next destination may be?
Honestly, the Bayern Munich have been linked with a lot of players that they're not getting at the moment, aren't they? They were massively supposed to be in for Declan Rice, which was never happening. Massively in for Harry Kane, which was never happening. So it's quite interesting. I would take this one a bit more seriously than those two. I'd go as far as saying that I believe that Bayern would be a more plausible rival for a player like Kim. So I would take that seriously. But Kim is in a situation where he's not signing a new contract with Napoli, and Man United have made inroads to understanding what his aspirations are, and it's believed that if he had his pick of clubs, he would pick Man United. Now, obviously, Man United are in a situation whereby they have this small window to make that move at a decent fee, so that's gonna be upcoming in a few weeks. But secondly, they've still got defenders in their squad that they need to make sure that they're confident are going to be offloaded. Now, I'm not saying like United have to get rid of Maguire before they could do this, but I think they'd want to be sure that
they're gonna move on, and
there's going to be a domino effect happening that means that they're not left with like too many players. But yeah, I think Kim's definitely a plausible option for Man United. He's a would be a very good addition to the team. I'm not going to get carried away and say it's done, but I think that there have been positive signs so far.